What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. My name is Evan Balmer. Usually this is where our co-host Mike Mercia introduces himself. Unfortunately, Mike has other obligations this morning and couldn't make it. Today we are joined by Ella Ross. Ella is an Asbury Park-based musician. You can find her online at ellarossmusic.com and on Instagram at Ella Ross. What's going on?
Not much. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
So you and I met, and sort of like, I guess the modern way to meet is basically like, I feel like I knew you because I already followed you on Instagram, and like one day I just bumped into you at the High Voltage Cafe, and then you were there doing some photos, and the photographer's like, "Do you know Ella?" And I was like, "Yeah, but no."
I know. I was like, yes.
We do, but we don't. So it's cool. So it's nice to sit down and talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. So you're definitely kind of all over the Asbury scene, I feel like. How did you get started in music?
Originally, I started singing when I was like 11. And then when I was 17, I was thinking about going to Belmont.
Right.
And then kind of last minute, I was like, I think I want to learn more before I like dive into Nashville. And that's when I thought I wanted to do more like country style music.
Okay.
So I started going to Lake House. I did their educational label and met a lot of people through that. And kind of just from there started playing shows and booking shows. And I feel like over the past couple months, so it's really escalated. And yeah.
Right. That's cool. So when you were 11, like what got you interested in music?
I don't know what exactly. I was like, oh, I think I want to start doing like vocal lessons or something. Because when I was younger, I sang and I was always running around and dancing, and I would put on shows for my family all the time.
Right.
But I don't remember the exact thing that made me be like, oh, I think I'm a little bit serious about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you listen to like anything in particular? Like was there music you remember being into?
I was obsessed with the Dixie Chicks when I was younger.
Right.
I loved Britney Spears. So
Nice.
it was always very blended.
Right.
It was like pop, country. I listened to the Red Hot Chili Peppers a lot because my brother did.
Right.
I was just around a lot of music. My parents are Deadheads, so I also listened to that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you been to, what about like seeing live music? Did you go to concerts when you were a kid?
Yeah, my first concert was the Black Eyed Peas.
That's a good
So
one.
Fergie was my favorite person ever,
Right.
also as a child.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I was like 7 years old.
Nice.
Definitely should not have been there at 7,
Right.
but it was so fun.
That's cool. That was kind of what happened to me. I think I was like 3 or 4 my first concert.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yeah, by the time I was 7, I'd been to a bunch with my parents. So like music was huge early on. And then I'm watching, like you mentioned, the Dixie Chicks. I'm watching the 90s. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix.
The CNN.
Yeah. So there's like a whole section about Lilith Fair, and I forgot like how good the Dixie Chicks. Like I haven't listened to them in so long, and then to see them live at Lilith Fair, it's like, oh wow, yeah, they were good. They had some good songs.
I love them.
Right. So did you start taking lessons then?
Yeah.
At 11?
At 11, I started taking lessons. I wasn't songwriting yet or anything. I was writing. I don't think I knew they were songs at the time.
Right.
But when I was like 16, 17 was when I started like really, I think this is a song that I'm writing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you take lessons early on?
It was this woman, Andrea Fagan. She's based in Fairhaven.
Okay.
Just out of her house.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And did you get into it right away?
Yeah. She puts on recitals too, so that was good. That helped me get live experience. I still get nervous, but I remember back then I was so nervous. It would actually I would mess up.
Right.
So it helped me not mess up even when I'm nervous.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's got to be the hardest part, like the first time to perform in front of somebody. Right.
And for some reason, it's scarier to me to perform in front of people I know than people I don't know.
Right.
So it was only my family, and I was like, oh no. My dad sitting like right in front of me. I was like, oh no.
That is weird. It's like I got a buddy that's a stand-up comic, and I went to see him, and they put me like there was one open table in the front, and like when I got there, they gave me that seat, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to sit here because it's making me uncomfortable that he's gonna walk out and like I'm staring at him, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to get it, but so it is weird when you see people.
When you see people, it's weirder for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You definitely would rather perform in front of strangers.
Yeah.
So that was like pre-Lake House. So how did you end up at Lake House eventually?
I had heard of some people who go there. It was just like word of mouth. And then I went in and sat down with them. And I just started taking lessons. I was taking like 5 lessons at a time and doing like a bunch of songwriting with people there. For a while, it was like till I was like 19.
Right.
19 or 20. But they helped me so much. Like the artist program that they have is really, really helpful for young artists who don't know what they're doing. And
right.
it just helps you get exposure. It helps you meet people. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was super beneficial.
Yeah, it's very similar. My daughter was like 11 or 12, and she wanted to start taking vocal lessons. So we actually, the Lake House was there, so we started at Lake House. But she was real similar, that she had this interest, wanted to do it, and so it's been huge for her also. She's been there for like a year now.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
But the first day she freaked out. She was crying,
Oh, yeah.
on the way in, you know. She's like, because the same thing, you've never, like, you think you want to do something, but you've never done it, and suddenly you're in a group of people.
It's vulnerable, too, and
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was learning songwriting like for you? Because that's different than just singing, right?
Yeah, so I don't play an instrument. Like, I can kind of if I have to. But so I was just thinking of melodies and lyrics, and then it was really helpful to me to have someone to like actually play the music, because I couldn't do that on my own.
Right.
It was just, I had to learn to not be so in my head about it, and to also learn like if the song is bad, it's bad, and you should just like write a new one. And it helped you learn something, writing a not great song. But yeah, they are so great there. They have the best songwriters too.
So do you remember what your first song you wrote was?
It was at Lake House, or
just in general?
In general.
Do you remember like writing your first, or what it was about?
I think it was about like something in school, maybe.
Right.
It was something very like simple.
Uh-huh.
But I wrote it down in like a notebook that I found recently, actually.
Did you?
And I think I was like 14, 15.
Well, that's
but
cool.
Yeah.
And so when you wrote, so I guess, so you hear something in your head probably, right? Like a melody or something, and then you're writing lyrics, and then are you singing it to yourself like as you write it, or how does that kind of work?
It depends for each song. So recently I've been doing a lot of like more top lining stuff. So someone will send me like the music already, and I'll just write over it.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'll come up with the melodies on my own,
Right.
and then go in and be like, I think I want it to sound like this. And then it's like collaboration more.
That's cool. So do you find it easier once you hear a track to write, or is that a whole different process?
That's a whole different process too. I kind of like just sitting, like if I'm driving and I hear something, I like grab my phone and take a voice memo right away.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I think I just heard this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are you starting to grow into people that you work with, like, over and over again? Collaborators.
Yeah, so the song that I just released called Walls, I wrote it with Joe Perella and Tor Miller, and then Eric Romero and Joe produced it together.
Cool.
And then we have like 5 more songs that I just have kind of sitting, haven't released yet.
Right.
But
Cool.
I don't want to set too many like dates. I kind of just want to see how this does, and then kind of, because last time I released something, I was so dead set on like it has to be done by this day. I want it out by this day. So now I'm kind of just taking it more easy and just seeing what I feel like doing.
Right.
And kind of just, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, and that kind of sums up the whole state of the music business right now, right? Like, it's entirely different than it used to be. So even in your kind of lifespan as an artist, you put out like a full-blown album on Moto before, right? And so you'd release like here's my album, and then maybe we're doing shows around it and that kind of stuff. But the world's entirely different now.
Exactly.
Like, you don't really need to do that, or a lot of artists don't do that.
Yeah, and I just was noticing that when I release one song, it does way better than when I release 5 at once.
Right.
Which I totally get. It's just what the music industry is right now.
Right.
I think eventually I'll like release it as a whole. But again, I'm not going to set like any dates.
Right.
Or any timeline.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, when I was a kid, it was vinyl, right? And you were so psyched to buy a record, and then the first thing you did is you sat down, like you put aside, like, all right, I'm in for the next 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm going to listen to this thing, like start to finish, But now, like, people don't do that.
I know, it's really sad. Like, I don't remember the last person I was super excited to listen to their full album. I think it was Avery Mandeville. I love her album. Yeah,
that's cool. And not even many people do it. So I mean, now it's like, It is more common to do singles. Videos are important. Photos, like it's a whole different kind of collection of things as opposed
to constant content.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. So what's your life like now creating that content?
I think now I have more of a vision. Just watching other people really like Blaze, for example.
Right.
His vision is so. Do you know him?
Yep.
Yeah, his vision is just.
I mean, not personally. He's like you. Yeah. I know who he is, but I don't know him personally.
He has such a vision, and he's such a creative, and it's really cool to watch him because I think it inspires other people.
Right.
Like he asked me, he's like, "So what do you see for this song?" I'm like, "Wow, like I didn't even think of it in that way."
Right.
And he's like, "You need to just create around the song and feel what you see and how you see this being released." And so, I don't know, I'm trying to have more content that's like curated and together and working with similar people, but also giving more of my opinion. Because I think cool. I used to like sit back a little bit and be like, oh, that's a cool idea.
Right.
But now I'm being more upfront exactly what I want to do.
Gotcha. That's cool. I mean, I think Instagram's like a key component, I think, to everything, right? And I think you definitely have like a curated vision. Like
it's all David Rosslyn.
That's So you do things in batches? Like, all right, I'm kind of thinking like this location, and let's do a lot of photos to kind of roll out. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah. So for like all the singles I have coming out, I did a shoot with Sierra. So we have like a bunch of photos ready, but we did like a story for each song kind of. So they're all like matching to the song.
Right.
But I can't release any of them yet. So it's hard to sit with things.
It is, right?
I'm so bad at keeping things secret.
Yeah.
I just want to release it all.
I mean, that was the hard part, even like in the olden days of where it was even a longer period of like going to the studio, recording, all that stuff. I mean, you'd be sitting on like listening to mixes or something, and it might not come out for like 6 months, a year, and by the time it comes out, artists are sick of it, and then they're going like on a long tour and playing those songs.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I'm already on to like the next thing.
Yeah.
But so how many like singles do you have ready to go right now?
I have 5.
Right.
5, yeah.
So do you find yourself letting a few slip to some friends and stuff?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I send them out to it. I always joke, I'm like, you can leak it, like you can post it.
Yeah, it's hard. You're right. Even like photos and stuff. You're like, all right, let's just get it all out.
Yeah.
So how many I don't know if you can talk about it, but you were filming a video recently at High Voltage.
Oh yeah.
What's that for?
So we just did like a live session of 2 of the songs I have coming out. One of them's Walls, so that one's already out, and then we did a live version of another one.
That's
and it's
cool.
called Talking Listening. But again, I have no idea when that's coming out either.
So you just got it in the bank, basically.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's the even something as simple as a podcast. Like, I love having things in the bank because you never know when you're going to put out another one. You know what I mean? So at least like, all right, next week we got something, even if we don't record a new one. So that's good. Do you want to talk about Walls a little bit in particular? And then maybe we'll listen to it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Right.
So I wrote it. I started writing it with Tor like 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. So again, I've been sitting with that one for a long time. And we listened to it to maybe record it the last time I went in, or the previous time before the new stuff. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
But I don't know. I just wasn't loving it, so we didn't record it. And then for some reason, I came back to it with Joe. And I was like, I think we should record this one and like finish writing it completely. And we did, and it was my favorite one, so that's why I released it first.
That's cool.
But yeah, I demoed it with Joe Perella, and then we showed Eric, and they both produced it together.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the song? What's it about, or what's it mean to you? What's it capture?
It's kind of about just like closing yourself off to people, because you'd rather close yourself off than get hurt by people.
Right.
But it's funny because I've been listening to a lot of Maggie Rogers, and I feel like her songs are sad, but you can still like dance to them.
Right.
And that's the exact vibe I wanted to go for.
Oh, that's funny.
So the subject matter is a little heavy, but it's still like a fun song.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like that's what I am. It's just like I still try to like be fun and like.
Right.
But it's like pop with meaning almost.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that is cool. All right, so the best place for people to find this is Spotify or through your website?
Yeah, it's on all of the streaming services. I think people mostly use Spotify or Apple Music. It's on there. It's actually also on SoundCloud for free.
Okay, cool.
If you don't have.
All right, sweet. So let's take a listen to Walls by Ella Ross. Nice.
Thank you.
Congrats. That's a cool tune.
Thank you.
It's definitely powerful. So you worked with Tor and Joe on that, you said?
Yeah, at different, at like different times.
That's cool.
Yeah, I started writing it with Tor. I kind of like, I don't know if we finished it or if I just changed it. But it was like 2 years ago.
So what do those guys do? What's their background? They have their own projects.
Joe? Yeah. So Joe Perella is in Deal Casino. But he's been working with me on like demoing, and he started producing. And then Eric produces a lot of people.
Right.
He did the new Bottled Blonde stuff. He did. He's done a lot of people.
Right. So the crazy thing is, you have like such an incredible talent pool of people to collaborate with in Asbury. It's insane. Right. I was just trying to explain that to someone this past weekend. I was at a gig at Stone Pony. And it's funny because I saw you there. I don't want to bother you, but
oh my goodness.
Like you're with this crew. I'm like, look, there's like all these great singers hanging out right there, and then the bands that played were phenomenal. And you don't see that. Like that's like I was trying to explain it to my daughter. I'm like, you know, when I used to go see a lot of shows in the city, it'd be like all the great clubs had great music all night long, but those were people coming from around the United States and the world, right? Like everyone was going to play in New York. this was like all local. I'm like, this is nuts, man. There are so many people here. It's so cool.
It was awesome to see that. Yeah. It was like, it was everyone I know from the music scene.
Right.
And it was awesome.
And then obviously you had so many, I mean, that track is killer, right? So you have like so many talented people to work with on that, and the recording's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's really cool. What's it like for you to be a part of that scene?
It's awesome because I don't feel like anyone's competitive. I was just having a conversation about this yesterday with people who are in the music industry in Asbury.
Right.
And we were like, I don't feel jealous when you get something cool. Like, I just feel so proud of the person. And I think that's really rare too.
Right.
Like, we all genuinely want to help each other, support each other. So I've never seen anything like it.
That's really cool.
Like, there's no competition.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, it's great to be able to pull on that. And then, like, along those lines, you're actually playing the Stone Pony this Saturday with Bobby Mahoney, Chris Rockwell, Leaving the Oaks, a couple other people.
Yeah, I think Nalani and Serena.
Right.
And Rustin Stardust, I think is the other band.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So how do people get tickets for that?
You can get them on Ticketmaster, and you can get them through me. You can get them through any of the artists that are playing too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you've played all the places there are to play in Asbury, right?
Yeah.
Saint, House of Independence, obviously Stone Pony. Do you have a favorite place to play?
I really like the Saint. The sound is really cool there. I also played a show at Little Buddies, which is the bar next to Annex.
Right.
And it was the most fun show I've ever played.
Was it really? I haven't been there
yet.
Which
is really interesting because it's not technically for music. Like, it's just a tiki bar.
Right.
But they let me do my 21st birthday show there.
Oh,
and
no way.
yeah, it was the most fun ever.
Cool. It's funny, like, you're starting to see a lot of shows popping up that are happening there, but I haven't been there yet. So
yeah, it's cool. So fun.
Yeah.
And not that my expectations weren't, like, high, but it sounded really good, too.
Right.
Like, I thought it was going to be really fun, and it was, but it also sounded really good in there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was so fun.
So you recently turned 21?
Yes.
Has it been life-changing for you?
Yes.
In any way?
Yeah. I just can legally go to the bars now.
That's pretty funny. Like the places you've been going and playing and whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So that's cool. So now that you've kind of made the decision to not go to college and invest your time in the music, looking back, how do you feel that's been? Has it been what you expected?
It's taught me a lot more doing it myself. I miss learning though, so I might start taking classes or something because I just miss having like a super set, like, I need to finish my homework by this day. So I don't know, I might take some type of class, maybe like Brookdale or something, or Monmouth. Right. But music wise, I think it was better that I didn't go straight into music school. I think I would have been so discouraged and been like, everyone's so good.
Right.
And I think my ego just would have been totally crushed and I would have left. And like, this helped me just learn how to do it by myself, work harder, and just, yeah. No,
I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I don't know if I would have had the courage to do that. You know, like, I feel like sometimes you get forced into things. You're like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. You know, so I'll just go. But you know, it's like a brave choice to say, you know, I'm going to dedicate myself to this and try to figure it out.
My parents are like incredible. I have 3 older siblings. They all went to college. They all went to like really, really good schools. So I don't know if my parents were just like, they were so supportive. They're like, yeah, you don't have to go. Like, all your siblings went.
Right.
Like, they're like, you're good.
Right.
I think they met the quota for my parents. So my parents were like, it's fine.
Right. Maybe you're looking for a little financial break. You know?
Yeah. And I think they just knew always that I wasn't super into school. Like, I went to Montessori as a kid, which was the best for me because I wasn't into like super structured learning how public school was.
Right.
So I think they just always knew that I probably wouldn't go to college.
Right.
And they're like, she learns more outside of school than she does.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's
more
awesome.
Hands-on learning.
So what have you learned in addition to just being like a songwriter and a performer, like about how to form a music career also?
You have to support other people too. And you have to, like I was saying before, there's no competition. We all want to help each other. And I think I learned a lot about, like, so I'm technically, like, solo artist.
Right.
So finding, like, band members, I had to cycle through a lot to find the people that I really like working with and who like working with me.
Right.
Like, booking shows, there's a lot to that. I had to learn.
Right.
And just getting people at your shows, I had to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like full-blown everything. You got to be, your own manager, booking agent, promoter, marketing yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything.
Yeah. I learned more about Instagram, too, I feel like, recently.
Right.
Just not over-promoting something. People get kind of bored of seeing, like, the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's been the hardest part that you had to piece together?
Finding a band was the hardest.
Yeah.
But because when you have different people playing with you a lot, it's not consistent. You sound different every time, which is cool in a way, I guess. But now I have more of a set thing.
Right.
So we just, like, are sounding better as a whole each time,
right,
which is cool.
That's cool.
And they're super invested in it, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you'll have the same lineup for Stone Pony and other gigs. That's cool.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
right. Yeah, as long as you keep them together.
Please.
And then what about playing outside of Asbury?
I think we might play Rockwood Music Hall in the city soon. I was always scared to, like, take that dive into the city, but
right.
I think we should just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your goal for Walls, let's say, first?
For Walls, just that people like it, connect with it, share it with their friends. There was a lot of people who shared it, and I was blown away.
Yeah. So how often do you get, like, do you keep an eye on number of times it's played, shared, that
Sometimes.
kind of stuff? Yeah.
I'm trying not to look at it as much.
Right.
Because I don't want to get too caught up in it. I mean, it does matter, but it also, like, I don't want to, like, get too caught up in it.
Right. I mean, you could sit there and reload, like, every 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. When it first comes out, they have, like, the live count.
Right.
And, I don't watch that because that stresses me out.
What's more important to you, the song, like, on Spotify, or, like, views, let's say, for a video? Or do you view them both the same?
I think they're different because I know some people don't watch music videos for some reason.
Right.
I feel like I get different people watching videos and different people listening, which is strange. I would say I get more, like, streams though than on, like, Spotify and Apple Music than watches on stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's so weird, like, the algorithms and the numbers of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. So when's your next single gonna be out?
Probably it's definitely sometime in April. So this month, probably the end of April.
So it's coming up.
Yeah, it's called Monster.
Okay, cool. And then is there a new video also?
Not for this one.
But another one in the works.
Yes.
When are the live videos out yet? The ones you just did?
Not yet.
They're, like, being edited.
Yeah, those will probably. I feel like I'm just gonna release them one day and be like, "Hi, these are out." Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna, like, promote it. I'm just gonna be like, "Oh, by the way."
Yep. Here, check it out.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what's your daily life like outside of music?
So I work at Wanderlust Land and Sea, which is a surf shop.
Right.
It's owned by Luke Masenko, and it is the best. I love them. They have one in Asbury and in Seagirt.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's super cool. They also are, like, somewhat involved in Sea Here now just because they're stores in Convention Hall, so that's cool too. Cool. And they're so supportive. It's super cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How often are you there?
I'm there, like, 5 days a week.
All right.
4 to 5 days a week.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's nice to have, like, 2 separate things.
Right.
So I'd still have a lot of time to do music, but it's not everything.
Right.
Like, I still have other things to do.
And then what do you do for fun?
I go to people's shows, honestly.
If my man Mike was here, he calls it the back of the mullet. He's always like, tell me about the back of your mullet. The party's at.
Yeah, I go to other people's shows. I hang out with my dogs a lot.
That's cool. What kind of dogs you got?
They're 2 Portuguese water dogs.
Oh, nice.
Because I moved out recently, so that's, like, my excuse to go home. I'm like, can I come see the dogs?
Okay.
But my parents are so happy. They're like, I was the last one, so they were like, yes, she's gone. Yeah. But I'm cool. Like, can I come see the dogs?
Right.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
But yeah, I would say I go to a lot of people's shows.
Do you have any favorite, both local and like national artists right now?
I love Maggie Rogers. I love Manchester Orchestra, which I saw them play at the festival that they had with Front Bottoms, or Champagne Jam. Is that what it's called?
Right.
Yeah. And I liked them before that,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't like love them. But now I listen to them like all day.
Really? What are they like?
Like, I don't want to say it wrong. I feel like they have like a very strong.
They're,
you know the song "The Gold"
nah.
by them, maybe. And I really like Phoebe Bridgers.
Okay.
And locally though, I really like Bottled Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
Pamela Flores. I say her Instagram name. And Blaze is one of my favorite people.
Do you collaborate with them, or do you just go like enjoy watching them, or a combination?
Musically, not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we all kind of have our own thing.
Right.
We're all friends, but musically we don't necessarily collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I show them stuff, I'm like, oh, listen to this.
Right.
Like, but we don't really like mesh the two.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right,
but I think if I asked any of them, they'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then did you talk about national artists? Did you say somewhere?
I really like Manchester Orchestra,
Okay,
Phoebe Bridgers, Maggie Rogers. I always forget when people ask me who I listen to. It automatically goes out.
I do the same
my
thing.
ear.
That used to be my favorite thing too. Is like, I mean, I don't know if it still exists, but like it used to be, you'd go buy music at a store, right? Mm-hmm. And like the thing that always happened was you'd be obsessed with like, I got to get this, but then when you arrived at the store, you can never remember what you came for, and you'd be like, I don't know why I was here. Like I forget what I wanted to get.
Yeah.
You know.
I listen to a lot of Casey Musgraves also. Who else? Sheryl Crow.
Nice.
My favorite.
Cheryl's a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's the same thing with watching the 90s. Like I forgot about
Cheryl.
that part of my life of like what you used to listen to, you know, and I remember when when that record first came out, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was cool. So are you still into like a variety of all different types of music?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like my phone will go from Travis Scott to Casey Musgraves to Maggie Rogers, like in the span of 3 songs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I like to just listen to everything I can and kind of just learn from all things.
Gotcha.
But that's the thing, being a musician, sometimes I don't just listen to music. I'm like studying it.
Right.
So it's so funny.
I always wonder, like, does that change your appreciation for music?
I think it makes me appreciate it a little bit more in a way, maybe. But I don't know, I've recently, like sometimes I'll get in my car and be like, I don't want to listen to music right now.
Right.
And I just listen to podcasts now.
That's cool.
So.
What kind of podcasts you listen to?
I listen to MulletCast.
Sweet.
Exclusively only. That's the only podcast I listen to.
That's right. Mix in, that's funny.
I listen to Damned and Brave, which is like a music podcast. They're
cool.
from, they don't live in Asbury, but they like hang out in Asbury.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, nice.
Who else? I listen to a lot of true crime.
True Time's, I mean, that's becoming huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you still study, like, do you still take lessons of any, like, songwriting classes or vocal lessons or work with a coach or anything?
Not really right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of just, I was going to Lake House a lot, and I love them. I think they're, like, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of branched out a little bit and kind of just been doing it on my own.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah.
And what about, do you study like the business side of things or marketing or anything like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I try to read some of it and then I'm like, you know what, I just want to be myself. And I'm like, wait, this matters and I should know this.
Right.
So it's a mix of all of it.
That's cool. All right, so upcoming gig, Stone Pony, April 6th.
I have a show in May that I don't think I can say yet, but
all right, cool.
It's in May.
So people should follow you. Instagram, is that where you typically announce stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so follow at Ella Ross. Is there a song you want to play out on the way?
Oh.
Listen to something to close it out?
We can listen to Hurt.
Okay.
It's everyone's fave.
We'll give Ming a few minutes to find Hurt, and we'll announce a few other things. So check out the new single Walls on Spotify, iTunes, wherever music is found. message you about Stone Pony Ticks.
Yeah.
Or show up and say you're there to see Ella, obviously. That's April 6th, this Saturday.
And say hi.
Yeah, totally.
Even if I'm with a group of people.
That's right.
Say hello.
Exactly.
Usually, I have really bad eyesight at night. And especially in there, I get so overstimulated. I'm like, I don't know. I can't see anyone.
That's really funny. I have a weird thing. Like, I feel like I'm always bothering people. Like, I saw like 3 people I was going to say hi to at the Stone Pony. I'm like, they look busy. They're talking to somebody, you know. So, all right, next time I'll definitely say hi to you. And I totally should have stayed when you were filming that thing at High Voltage.
Oh, yeah.
But I felt like I was also creeping around like upstairs.
Totally can stay.
So we'll keep an eye out for those live videos that were recorded recently. That'll be sweet. They looked like a nice setup for
it. It was cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so follow Ella at Ella Ross. Check out ellarossmusic.com. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem. We're going to close it out with a little tune from you.
You